There is an iron key in the Valdris Municipal Archives that weighs exactly 3 pounds and measures 11 inches from bow to bit. It is labeled as the Master Gate Key, and according to municipal records, it opened every city gate in Valdris from 1547 to 1847. For 300 years, this single key granted access to all 7 gates that controlled entry to the walled city. Then, in March 1847, the key was placed in archival storage, and the gates were refitted with individual locks. No official explanation was given for the change. I found it while researching the city's defensive architecture. I was trying to understand how a walled city managed access control across multiple entry points during the early modern period. The answer, according to the records, was elegant in its simplicity. 1 key, 7 gates. A master lock system designed in 1547 by the Locksmith Guild of Valdris, commissioned by the City Council to replace the previous system of individual gate keys that required coordination between multiple gatekeepers. The Master Gate Key system was documented in a contract, dated the 12th of April, 1547. The contract specified that the Locksmith Guild would install identical lock mechanisms on all 7 city gates, each operable by a single master key. The key would be held by the Chief Gatekeeper, a position appointed by the City Council. Only the Chief Gatekeeper would possess the master key. Individual gate attendants would operate the gates only when the Chief Gatekeeper authorized entry or exit by unlocking the mechanism. The system was designed to centralize control. 1 person, 1 key, 7 gates. It functioned without incident for 3 centuries. Then it stopped. The change is recorded in a City Council resolution dated the 9th of March, 1847. The resolution states that the Master Gate Key system would be discontinued and replaced with individual locks for each gate. The master key would be retired to archival storage. 7 new keys would be forged, 1 for each gate, to be held by the respective gate attendants. The resolution passed unanimously. It took effect on the 15th of March, 1847. The resolution offers no explanation for the change. It simply states that the council had determined that alternative access control measures are in the city's best interest. Here is what strikes me about the timing. The Master Gate Key system had operated successfully since 1547, 300 years. Multiple wars, sieges, occupations, regime changes, and administrative reorganizations. The system survived all of it. Then in 1847, during a period of relative peace and stability in Valdris, the council suddenly decided the system needed to be replaced. I searched for context. What was happening in Valdris in early 1847 that might have prompted this decision? Economic records show normal trade activity. No unusual political tensions. No external military threats. The city gates were functioning as they had for centuries. Yet the council voted to dismantle a system that had proven reliable for longer than any living person could remember. He requested access to the City Council meeting minutes from March 1847. The minutes confirmed the resolution was discussed and approved. The discussion is summarized in 2 sentences. Chief Gatekeeper Rendell presented concerns regarding the master key system. Council voted to adopt individual lock protocol effective immediately. No details about the concerns, no record of what Rendell said. Just concerns followed by immediate replacement. But here is the detail that doesn't fit. I found employment records for the Chief Gatekeeper position. The records show that Gareth Rendell had served as Chief Gatekeeper since 1839, 8 years. During that time, he had filed annual reports with the City Council documenting gate operations. I found his reports from 1840 through 1846. Every report notes that the master key system was functioning properly. Gate access was being controlled efficiently. No security breaches, no operational issues, no concerns. Until March 1847, when Rendell suddenly presented unspecified concerns that prompted the council to immediately abandon a 300-year-old system. I tried to find what happened to Rendell after the system changed. Employment records show he remained Chief Gatekeeper through 1847. Then, in January 1848, the position was eliminated entirely. The title, Chief Gatekeeper, disappeared from municipal records. Individual gate attendants reported directly to the City Watch. The centralized role that had existed since 1547 was dissolved within a year of the master key being retired. The key itself was transferred to the municipal archives in March 1847. The transfer is documented in an inventory record dated the 16th of March, one day after the new system took effect. The record describes the key as retired from active service and lists its physical specifications. 3 pounds 11 inches. Iron construction with brass inlay on the bow. The record notes that the key is to be preserved as a historical artifact. It is still there, in a climate-controlled vault, labeled and cataloged. But when I requested to examine it, the archivist told me it was currently unavailable for viewing. I asked why. She checked the records and said the key had been flagged for conservation assessment. I asked when it would be available. She said there was no timeline. I asked when the conservation flag had been placed. She checked again. The flag had been added in 1963, 66 years ago. The assessment had never been completed. Now here is where the timing becomes difficult to explain. I found records of the gate reconstruction that occurred in March 1847 when the individual locks were installed. The work was contracted to the same locksmith guild that had created the original master key system. The contract is dated the 10th of March, 1847, one day after the council resolution and 5 days before implementation. 5 days to design, forge, and install 7 new lock mechanisms across 7 city gates. The contract specifies that the work must be completed by the 15th of March. No delays would be accepted. The guild completed the work on the 14th of March, one day early. That timeline seems impossibly fast for custom metalwork in 1847. But the guild delivered 7 locks, 7 keys, installed and operational within 5 days of the contract being signed, which suggests the locks had been prepared in advance. Before the council voted, before Rendell presented his concerns, I searched for correspondence between the locksmith guild and the city government from early 1847. I found one letter, dated the 28th of February, 1847, from Guild Master Orenholst to City Treasurer Marcus Venn. The letter confirms receipt of an advance payment of 340 marks for specialized lock fabrication as discussed. The letter mentions no details about what was being fabricated or why. The council resolution wasn't passed until the 9th of March, but the guild had received payment for the locks on the 28th of February, 9 days earlier. I found the payment record in the city treasurer's ledger. 340 marks, paid to the locksmith guild on the 28th of February, 1847. The notation reads, "Advance payment, Gate Security Project." No further explanation. The payment came from the council's discretionary fund, which required no detailed justification, so the locks were commissioned and paid for before the official decision to replace the master key system was made. But here is what bothers me most. I found an inventory of city gate keys maintained by the City Watch from 1847 through 1900. The inventory lists all keys in circulation for municipal access control. It shows 7 gate keys, 1 for each gate, starting in March 1847. But there is a notation next to the entry for the 15th of March, 1847, the day the system changed. The notation reads, "Master gate key retained in archive, not destroyed, per S standard decommissioning protocol." Standard protocol for retired keys was destruction. When keys were replaced, the old keys were melted down to prevent unauthorized use. The master key was specifically exempted from this protocol. It was to be preserved, not destroyed. A key that could open every gate in the city was retired but deliberately kept intact. I tried to find examples of the master key being used after 1847. Access logs from the city gates show no instances of the master key being employed after the 15th of March. 1847, the gate attendants used their individual keys. The master key simply stopped appearing in operational records. But I found one incident report from May 1847. 2 months after the system changed, a gate attendant at the North Gate filed a report stating that the lock mechanism had jammed and could not be opened with the assigned key. The city watch was summoned. The report notes that the lock was eventually opened, but it doesn't specify how. The jamming was attributed to a manufacturing defect. The lock was replaced the following day. I found the replacement work order. It was completed by the Locksmith Guild. The cost was 52 marks, paid from the city watch budget. The old lock mechanism was noted as retained for guild analysis. I searched for the analysis report. It doesn't exist in the archives. I tried to trace the 7 individual gate keys that replaced the master key. Access logs show the keys remained in use until 1889, when the city walls were partially demolished as part of urban expansion. 5 of the 7 gates were removed. The remaining 2 gates were converted to decorative monuments and no longer functioned as access control points. The individual keys were retired at that time and, according to protocol, destroyed. The master key, however, remained in the archives. I found one more document that I haven't been able to explain. It is a memo dated the 8th of March, 1847. From City Treasurer Marcus Venn to Chief Gatekeeper Gareth Rendell. The memo is brief. It reads, "Pursuant to our discussion, Council will address the gate matter at tomorrow's meeting. Proceed as agreed." The memo suggests Rendell and Venn had a prior discussion. An agreement was reached. Then the council meeting happened, and Rendell presented his concerns. But there is no record of what the discussion was about, no documentation of what they agreed upon. Just the memo filed in routine correspondence. The master gate key opened every gate in Valdris for 300 years. It was designed to centralize control, to ensure that one trusted individual could manage access to the entire walled city. The system worked. No recorded failures. No documented security breaches. No operational complaints from the chief gatekeeper, who used it daily. Then in 1847, during a period of stability with no apparent external threat, the city council voted to abandon the system immediately. The vote came after concerns were raised by the very person who had previously reported the system was functioning properly. The replacement locks were fabricated before the official decision was made. The old key was preserved instead of destroyed, then flagged for conservation assessment that was never completed. And Gareth Rendell, the chief gatekeeper, who raised the concerns that changed a 300-year-old system, had his position eliminated within a year. The key is still in the archives. 3 pounds of iron and brass, 11 inches long, capable of opening 7 gates that no longer exist. Flagged for conservation assessment since 1963, waiting for an evaluation that will never come.